Hey there and welcome. It's Christina here, and I want to talk today about how your thoughts, the negative thoughts, the limiting beliefs, all that negative self-talk that goes on in your head, how that actually can be one of the big reasons why you either aren't losing weight or why it's hard to be consistent. I think I've probably talked with hundreds of women about losing weight and eating healthy. And, as I'm in these coaching conversations with people, I can tell how often we all have these negative thoughts that cause us to either self-sabotage or to give up or to stop feeling motivated to eat healthy. And so, I think one of the biggest problems that we have in the whole weight loss industry is that we tend to think that we just need to know what to eat. But the problem is most of us have, a pretty good idea of what's healthy and what's not. But the problem is we just don't always do those things that we know we should be doing, that we know are healthy. And one of the biggest reasons why we don't do that are those negative thoughts and the beliefs that we have. And so that's what I want to cover today, is just kind of giving you some example of specific thoughts, specific beliefs that might be causing you to stop being consistent, might be causing you to self-sabotage, and might just be getting in your way of losing weight. So real quick, I'm Christina Johnson, a transformational nutrition coach, and I specialize in helping people create a clean and mindful eating lifestyle. And, I work with people who have struggled for years or often decades with trying to lose weight. And so we need to take a different approach, because I work with people who have tried everything already. They've done Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and MyFitnessPal and low carb. Like, they've done all those things and maybe have been successful on them, but they haven't kept the weight off. And so that's what I focus on is, yes, we need to know what to eat, but we also need to know how do we do it in a way so that we can keep it off. And managing our thoughts and our mindset is a really, really big piece of this. And so that's what we're talking about today. This is actually something that I talked about in the Emerge Weight Loss Method yesterday on our group coaching call, because it's just such an important topic. And so I figured that it would be helpful for all of you as well. So I wanted to share it here. So before I start, I'm just curious, do you ever feel like you self-sabotage in some way your weight loss efforts? Or do you ever feel like, you do well for a while and then for some reason or other, you just don't feel motivated anymore? You don't feel like you want to stick with it? I'd love to hear, just even put a me in the comments if you can relate to that situation. So here's how this all relates to our thoughts. So the National Science Foundation actually did a study, and they found that the average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts running through your mind every single day. I mean, just stop and think about that for a minute. That is a lot of thoughts that we're having every day. But here's the problem. They found that 80% of our thoughts are negative. So we are thinking thousands of negative thoughts every single day. And oftentimes what I found to be true in my own life and in my clients' lives is that we don't even always recognize these negative thoughts that we're having. And so just stop and think, just for yourself, like as you're going through your day, what are some of the things that you think when you look in the mirror or when you're putting on clothes in the morning? Are the thoughts that you're having then positive or negative? Or, what do you say to yourself after you eat a bunch of cookies or feel like you made a mistake? Or when you're laying in bed evaluating how you ate that day, what kind of thoughts do you have about yourself? Or maybe even what are the thoughts that run through your head when you get on the scale in the morning and maybe the number doesn't go down? I think we can all come up with several examples of negative thoughts that we have about ourselves, about, how well we're doing, how well we're eating, every single day. And so here is where this becomes such a big issue. And so I'm going to kind of explain, I call it the chain of events. And so in my program, I have this all diagrammed out, but I'm going to try and explain it so that it makes sense. But basically what happens is you have a thought of some sort, And whatever you're thinking, that causes you to feel a certain way. So for example, if in the morning you look in the mirror and think, ugh, I look so fat, then that causes you to feel a certain way. You probably feel discouraged, sad, frustrated, whatever. Like it could be anything, but it's probably some kind of negative emotion. And then when you're feeling that negative emotion, your feeling determines what action you will take. So think about it. If you're feeling frustrated, discouraged, hopeless, what kind of actions do you take? Does that make you want to eat healthy? Probably not. It probably makes you feel like, well, I might as well just eat the cookies anyway. And then so we have our thought, which creates our feeling. That feeling determines what kind of action we take. And then the action we take determines our result. It determines if we're able to lose weight or not. It determines if we're able to eat healthy consistently or not. So let me give you a couple more specific examples so you can kind of see how this might be playing out for you in your own life. So let's say maybe your thought is, I don't have time to eat healthy. Or maybe you think it's too hard to eat healthy. So again, if you're thinking those thoughts, I don't have time, it's too hard, it's too overwhelming, how are you gonna feel? You're gonna feel frustrated, overwhelmed, discouraged, hopeless. And what do we do when we feel that way? We just want to give up. We just think, well, it's too hard. I'm not going to be able to do it anyway, so I might as well eat food that I'm going to enjoy. And so then we just splurge. We just make the unhealthy choices. And then here's the kicker, we don't lose weight. So guess what ends up happening? We prove ourselves right. We prove that thought true, that it is too hard to lose weight. I'm never going to lose weight, because that led to a feeling, that led to actions, that led to us not losing weight. So we're always trying to prove ourselves right in some way. But let's look at the flip side, because we always have a choice here. So maybe on the flip side, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start thinking better thoughts. And maybe you think, it is possible to lose weight. It's possible for me to lose weight because I've done it before. So let's say you're thinking that thought, it's possible for me to lose weight because I've done it before. Well, how is that going to make you feel? I mean, think about it. If you're thinking it's possible for me to lose weight, I've done it before, you might feel at least a little hopeful, maybe a little optimistic. Maybe, you feel like motivated. And so if you're feeling positive and hopeful and motivated, what kind of actions are you going to take? My guess is you're going to make a healthy dinner. You're going to say no to the donut that was offered to you. You're going to feel motivated enough to go to the gym or go for a walk. And then what happens when you take those actions? Well, then you start to lose weight. So let me know, and let me know if this is making sense. Just even hit the like button or put yes, it makes sense in the comments, that how we're thinking determines how you feel, which determines what kind of action you take and what kind of result you get. But here's the problem. Okay, so let's say, a lot of times you start a new diet, right? And you're pretty positive and motivated and hopeful, like you have this new plan, it's going to work this time. So you're having these positive thoughts, taking positive actions. But then oftentimes, you go along for a while, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, things are going well, but then you hit a speed bump. Maybe you have a really crazy busy week and you just didn't have time to cook or to plan. Or maybe, you were losing weight week 1, week 2, week 3, and then week 4, you just kind of plateaued or maybe even gained a pound. So then what happens is we hit this obstacle, and immediately what do we start doing? We start having those negative thoughts. We think, yep, this is never going to work for me. I'm always going to be overweight. It's just way too hard. I'm never going to be consistent. I'm too lazy. I'm this, I'm that. And so we have these negative thoughts that jump right back in, and then that cycle starts. Those negative thoughts lead us to like, well, this is never going to work anyways, so I might as well just give up and eat all the ice cream and the cookies and the donuts and the chips and whatever else it is. And so what we need to do in order for you to lose weight and to be super consistent, in order to lose the weight and then be able to maintain it, we have to catch those negative thoughts and we have to manage them well. It's like, I like the analogy of a garden hose. So you think about a garden hose, you turn the water on, things are flowing, water's flowing smoothly through it, you're getting the water out. That's what happens when our positive thoughts are going. Like things are going smoothly and flowing along, but then we have a negative thought, it's like a kink in the hose. And when you kink that hose, then the water stops. And so we need to be able to learn how to really catch those negative thoughts so that we can unkink that hose quickly and get things flowing again smoothly. And so that's really, that's one of the biggest things that we need to do on our weight loss journey. Yes, it's important to know how to eat clean, how to balance your blood sugar, how to eat so you get rid of inflammation. But then we really need to focus on how do we keep doing it when we start thinking it's hard or we start feeling resentful that everyone else gets to eat what they want and we don't. So here's my, action step for you today, a little homework item. I would encourage you either right now, you can, if you're watching on the replay, you could pause quickly and do this and then come back to the end of it, or just do this when we're done. But take a moment, give yourself, even put a timer on for even just 2 or 3 minutes and brainstorm what are some of the negative thoughts or the limiting beliefs or the negative self-talk that you have about losing weight, eating healthy, sticking with it. Just write down what are the most common negative thoughts that come up for you. And my guess is there's probably a few that you can recognize and know right away. But usually for most people, there's also some that are more kind of sneaky under the surface. We don't recognize them right away. The other issue is that these negative thoughts, we just believe they are fact. We believe they are truth. And so sometimes it's hard to even recognize. It feels like, well, it's not just a belief. It's not just a thought. It's just the way it is. And that's where having coaching is really helpful sometimes, to have somebody to process through, okay, maybe this thought isn't true, and being able to work through that as well. But that's your homework for this video, is to take a couple minutes and just jot down what are some of the thoughts that you have that get in your way, some of those negative thoughts. And maybe even, it probably would be a good idea to, throughout the next week or so, just keep adding to that list. My guess is you will find lots of these. Because remember, we have 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of them are negative. So we need to start catching these thoughts. And there was a study actually that showed that not thinking these negative thoughts is really, really powerful. It's actually even more powerful than trying to think positive thoughts. And I'm a total believer in changing these thoughts and making them more positive and saying more positive things to ourselves. But we have to start by catching ourselves when we're thinking these negative thoughts and stopping it. Because that is what is going to get you off track 90% of the time, are those thoughts and feelings and beliefs that make you feel like it's too hard, you're never going to be successful. So I'm curious, can you relate to this? Let me know in the comments, what is one negative thought or belief or negative self-talk that you have around losing weight and eating healthy? I'd be really curious to hear what that is for you, and also just to share this with each other, because it can help us all become more aware of what's happening in our own minds. So I hope that this is helpful for you. And as I said, learning how to catch these thoughts and change mindset is a big part of the Emerge weight loss method. Because like I said, most of the people I've worked with, they've done all the other diets, the Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and low calorie and low carb. And while yes, we need to know how to eat, we also need to know how to manage our thoughts and our feelings so that we can stick with this consistently. So if you are curious to know if that type of approach would be helpful for you, I'd love to chat. Just let me know in the comments that you want to chat, or I can put the link to book a complimentary call with me in the comments below. I would love to talk with you and just get a look at what is stopping you from losing weight. Are your thoughts playing a role here? And then we can look at what next steps would help you really get on a good path to lose weight and keep it off. All right, if you have any questions, comments, I would love to hear it. I don't talk about this concept of this chain of events very often, so let me know if it's making sense, if it's helpful to you or not. I'm really curious to know, and if it's something you want me to talk more about in the future. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.